Wondering how to fall completely in love with the people and things that surround you at home? I've spent the last 15 years studying how and where families thrive and what relational and house characteristics ignite us with that homey feeling. On this podcast, we uncover how our brains process the people we live with and the houses we live in so we can confidently create our homes to be wonder-filled connection magnets. Ready to give up the decision fatigue, comparison hives, overwhelm ulcers, and confusion chaos? You are in the right place. I'm your host, Carly Thornock. Welcome to Becoming Home. Hey, what's up, homies? I'm so glad to be talking to you today. We are going to be talking about getting our kids on board with the toy situation. We've talked about how to get our parents, the grandparents, and other gift givers in our lives to rally up so we're all on the same page with gifts. We've talked about what to do when they're like, I don't care what you think, I'm giving my grandkid whatever I want. We're talking about that. But now we're going to talk about how our kids are part of this equation. Clearly, they're a huge part of this equation. And many of the moms that I talk to are worried that their children will be really upset if we come in and we reorganize the structure of our toy home life. How we use toys, how we clean up toys, how we think about toys. And there's a lot of validity to this, so let's talk about it. Today, we are diving deep into what nobody told you about how to get your kids to clean up and to think about toys. And this is not just any cleanup process. This is not any decluttering process. This is the declutter without crying. We want no tears, okay? And there might be some tears, but not our tears. And when we are grounded and firm and aware, and the moms that show up in radiant light and love and also solid truth to our families, then even when there's disappointment that we get to shepherd, we can do so in love and with effectiveness to help our kids understand why we're doing the things that we're doing. Even if they don't agree, even if they don't quite understand, we can help them get on board. So has this ever happened to you? Have you ever been outside, like hiking with your family, feeling so good? You've been at the park playing, the sunshine has been out, you've exercised your bodies, and you walk in, and as soon as you hit the threshold of your house, your throat falls to the pit of your stomach, and you see toys scattered everywhere, and you're like, why do I have a house? Why don't we just live outside? Has this ever happened to you? I know that this has happened to me before. Now, this is totally a lot of pressure because of what we tell ourselves. For all of the various reasons, we think that it is our job to manage the toys and the clutter and the cleanliness of what is within these four walls that we call our house. Outside, we don't tell ourselves these stories. And so this is kind of why we feel so much pressure this way. But often we take the pressure that we feel and we forward it energetically onto our children. And so we're blaming them, and then we're blaming their toys for this pressure that we feel. But actually, the pressure that we feel is ours. It is ours to own. It is ours to feel. It is ours to navigate. And from a place of centeredness, from truly feeling in to who we want to be as moms and how we want to shepherd our families and our lives and steward our environments, that's when we can show up as the best moms. That's when we can show our kids what it's like to live a stress-free, consumption, small footprint. What am I trying to say? Like a simple life. And if that's what you want, let's talk about it. So many people think that it's normal for toy cleaning and reminding and getting the kids to do their chores to be this friction process involved with like threats and, again, the tears. It may be normal to worry about these things, but it actually isn't helpful or effective to threaten or to remind or to take upon ourselves caring for the things that we have let our children care for, right? So it's kind of like a double-edged sword where we think that the toys are our responsibility, but we're mad about it because we think it should be our kids' responsibility. So I invite you to decide, do you have toys in your home because you like the toys in your home? Or do you have toys in your home because you want your kids to own the toys in their home and you want the toys to be for the kids? This is a really important distinction. If the toys are in your home because you value having the toys in your home for your kids, I'm not saying like, do you like Polly Pocket? My answer is yes. But I'm not asking that. I'm asking, do you value the toy for your child? Is this about you? When we recognize that a lot of times we buy toys for ourselves, for our kids, then we don't mind cleaning them up because it's for us, right? If we're like, I'm so glad that I have every single equipment that my kids can play with whenever they want. This is really important to me. I value having all of these opportunities ready and available, and therefore I will take responsibility for maintaining and cleaning them up, right? This is yours. However, you also can choose to have toys that are your children's responsibility. And if that is the case, what are you doing cleaning up their toys? You're giving them these things to play with, and then you're holding it against them because they're not doing it how you want them to do. Remember, this isn't about you. This is about them. If it is about them choosing how they maintain and play with and clean their toys, let's give them the freedom. Now, I'm not saying that this is a black or white thing because never in parenting is it that easy, is it? But there are a couple of tips that I have for you today of how to help your kids see the vision, but also leaving them with the opportunities that come from responsibility with toys. The first big thing I need you to understand, and that you will want to understand so you can have peace about the toys in your house, is that there is a developmentally age-appropriate way to approach toys. There's a spectrum of how you can tell whether or not your kids are ready for the toys that are around your house. Yeah, this is for the mom who is moving toward having your kids have a little bit more control. If you're doing the toy thing and you are super on board with it, and you don't even mind cleaning up and you're all in, awesome. Go and do. You are set. For the rest of you who are still listening, if you are inclined to have your kids take care of their own things and have a little bit more say in what's going on in the toy hemisphere, we need to really lean in to being the mom in giving them the right toys and helping them learn to maintain them. If you want your kids to maintain and steward their own toys, you gotta back off. You have to back off in the implementation of maintenance. Where you need to back on, where you need to full on come at the situation is on the front end when you're deciding what comes into your house, what kinds of toys are aligned with your family values, what's developmentally appropriate for your kid, what's going to help them in their life mission to develop the characteristics and qualities that you care about, what's going to keep them most easily in alignment with who they truly are and not cycle into despair or anxiety. You know your kid. So help them set up the systems that then they can maintain. So this is you doing the work on the front end, stewarding the atmosphere, the environment, and then letting them have free reign within the environment to push, pull, find consequences, experiment with decision-making, see what suits them, see what doesn't. I think this is the best way to go. This is the way that we can support and promote their growth and their development the very best by giving them opportunities that have been curated within a big spectrum. Okay, let me give you an example of what the heck I'm talking about. So I had a mom reach out to me just this week on Instagram, and she was saying, I'm really excited about this idea. And I have a 7-year-old and 11-year-old, and sometimes the neighbors will just give them stuff without coming through me. So I know what I would say, but once the kids get a hold of the thing, the toy, they were rollerblades. Once the kids get a hold of the rollerblades, how am I going to get them back? Like, I feel like I have no control in this situation. Okay, so here's what we want to have become part of our family dynamic, part of what we talk about, part of who we are. And that is, we don't just bring whatever the heck we want into our house. Here's why it's important. You wouldn't let your kids have something that you feel like really is really extreme or dangerous, right? Like if the neighbor gave you a box of aerial fireworks and they gave them straight to your 7-year-old and they're like, we don't need these, you can have them. And the 7-year-old was like, great, I'm so thrilled to shoot off these fireworks. I can't even wait. As a mom, you'd be like, no, it's not going to happen, buddy. Like, hand that to me. We're not just going to do fireworks because the neighbor gave them to us. You will step up and advocate for your kid when you feel like it's extreme. But what I want to invite you to consider today is that in the extreme, there's a threshold that you have set up in your mind of like, I would never do that. And I'm not sure. But along the line, there's a point where you would say no and you wouldn't feel bad about it. All we want to do is scoot that threshold back just a tiny bit. Here's why. If you have too many toys in your home, if your kids are not able to access their peace, if they can't maintain their own stuff, if you're constantly worried about upsetting them or disappointing them, there has been a boundary of safety, like psychological, emotional safety. It's just inappropriate that has been crossed. And it's not like it's the end of the world. Nobody's going to die. It's completely fine. But if you're wanting a home where you thrive, we don't want the threshold to be, you might die. We want the threshold to be, you're age appropriately growing and developing in a way that is so abundant that we would call you thriving, right? So we got to just move back from fireworks to whatever the threshold is that you get to decide is safe and appropriate for your children. So we want to have this become part of our conversations. Like, hey, I see that you got those rollerblades. That was really nice. Cool. And those are cool. I can tell why you're excited about that. And we have a way of thinking about toys in our home. Do you remember what the rules are about toys? And you can teach your kids. If you haven't taught your kids this yet, teach them today. In our family, we can have toys as long as we can take care of them and put them away. And as long as we can still be kind to our brothers and to our sisters and to our parents. We can be centered and show up as the loving people that we want to become. Now, this doesn't mean that we don't always have sparkly emotions. We don't have to be butterflies and daisies all the time, but this just means we show up in kindness and we can take care of our toys. Now, I've noticed that since you got these rollerblades, it's caused a lot of contention in our home and you've left them out. So that leads me to conclude that you aren't quite ready for these yet, not because you can't ever have them, because you totally can. But first, before we do rollerblades, I want to see you being kind to your brothers and saying yes and okay in our family, and disagreeing appropriately and being able to stay present and feel your feelings. That's most important to me. I also need you to clean them up. That means that they need to live in the same place every single time and that we don't drive over them or trip over them. And they aren't left out in the rain. Those are the rules of having these new toys. So what we're going to do is we're going to put the rollerblades in a box. I'm going to put them in the basement. They're going to be safe for you. And you can work on doing these things. Let's talk about it next week. How about next Sunday? We'll set an appointment and we can talk about how it's going. And if you've done all these things all week without being reminded, totally, let's try the rollerblades again. Okay? So this is approaching the toys from a child development standpoint. We can clearly see when we listen and watch what's appropriate for our kids with these standards. Are they cleaning them up and are they able to maintain kindness? Are they cleaning them up and are they able to maintain? And I don't mean being nice. I don't mean being nice. Do not misunderstand me. I don't mean like, say you're sorry, be nice. I mean their energy being in a calm, centered, vibrant, creative, willing, positive place. You know what it's like when your kids are safe, right? And sometimes all that's happening is that new toys will cause them to grow and expand beyond their ability to stay present. And this is great. Like when new situations happen to all of us, there's going to be a minute where we're a little bit off center. We're off kilter. We aren't balanced. We cry, have a tantrum, but usually it will very quickly regulate, right? So expect that when you introduce new things, expect a little bit of change and then expect regulation. If you're noticing that the regulation isn't happening, Likely it's because there's too much going on. There's too much input. So that's when we want to clear out. And that's where we want to minimize the toys. So how many toys can your kid really have that they can take care of and that they aren't blown into unpresence over? That they aren't misaligned about in their energetic safety of selfhood. Where is that? If you don't know, start with one toy. I would recommend you put all of your toys away. I'm not even kidding you. All of your toys away. Maybe choose 2, maybe choose 1. You get to choose. How many toys can they take care of without having a tantrum, without crying, without worrying about it, without losing their ability to disagree appropriately, which is expressing themselves and feeling their feelings, right? What's that level? And then start adding and notice when that shuts down again. That's how you'll know. All of this is part of authoritative parenting. This is what the research talks about as being the best kind of parenting for kids in their outcomes, academically, socially, intellectually, physically, all of the ways. Authoritative parenting is clutch. And the authoritative parenting is characterized by warmth, and high expectations. The course, the Stop Toy Clutter course that is on sale now for you, goes really deep into authoritative parenting and what that means and how you can use this kind of parenting style to help shape your kids' experience with toys and their possessions as a whole. It's so exciting because when we are centered, when we know what's up within our own hearts and souls, what we really value, and we can extend our values to our children in loving, supportive ways, they will rise to the occasion. They always do. Just like we know with our kids. It doesn't matter what you say, it matters what you do. They're going to copy what you do all the time. And if you can really lean into being the type of woman, the type of mom, the type of parent that is what you want your kids to emulate, that's when you're going to see crazy cool results. So maybe this goes back to asking yourself these same questions. What do you have that you can't maintain without stressing out, without worrying, without losing sleep, without snipping or snapping or stress cleaning? What can you handle? You guys, when I asked myself this question, I lost 4,000 square feet of my house. I was like, I don't want to handle this. It's not that I can't do it. It's that I can't do it and be the kind of person that I want to be at this point in my life. And there was a lot going on in my life when I made that decision. But to be honest to my own appropriate developmental stage, I didn't want my stuff coming before my kids. I didn't want my stuff coming before my peace. I didn't want my stuff coming before my marriage. So I got rid of tons of stuff. What if we could teach our kids this when they're 8, when they're 10, when they're 5? What if we can teach our kids that people come first, and not just in a nice people-pleasing kind of way, but like, you come first. My sweet child, like, you are the most important thing to me, but to you. For you to learn how to feel your body and take cues and understand when too much is too much, and how to say, Mom, I'm overwhelmed, and step back and say, Mom, I don't want to take care of this anymore. It's taking too much time from playing with my friends. Like, how cool would that be? That's the kind of kids we want to raise. Those are the kind of invitations we want to make. You, Mom, you're the best person for this job. You are the boss of your house. And I don't mean this in a dictatorial sort of way. I mean this as you are the one who knows. You are inspired to understand your children better than anybody on this planet. You know what they love. You know what they're capable of. You know their potential. You know their weaknesses. You know what they're struggling with. You know how they could grow. And you get to craft your environment to help them on their journey. They are going to feel uncomfortable with some of the choices that you make. That is appropriate. That is age appropriate for them to feel uncomfortable about the choices that you make for them. That is why you are the parent. Step up. Step into that. Really embrace your role as the one who stewards, the one who leads them toward the values that you value, toward the things you want them to love. Lead them, teach them, show them, and then set up a safe environment for them to explore what it means to follow you, what it means to choose something else, and the consequences of each. That is what a home is for. That is the purpose of our toys. The purpose of our toys is not to entertain. That is a sub-purpose of our toys. The purpose of our toys is to teach our kids what happens when they choose alignment versus misalignment. When they choose not just to be aligned with you and obey, but when they choose to honor their deepest passions, and when they choose to stay in flow, how does that look and how does that feel? And when it's misaligned, how does that look and how does that feel? And we get to help them understand with words the differences, like, oh, right now, something's off. Something's off about that Lego build. What are you frustrated about? What are you feeling? It's less about the Lego build. It's more about this thing that's happening inside of them, this growth, this push and pull, this paradox that's blossoming within our children. That is the purpose of childhood. Okay, you're the boss. You got this, Mom. Simplify. Remember that if they can't maintain and if they can't stay peaceful, centered, aware, awake, there's too much going on. If you want help with this, I would love for you to join the Stop Toy Clutter course. This goes so deep into all of these things. This is going to support you as you set these boundaries in the most loving way, the most loving way possible. If you want your toy clutter situation to feel peaceful by the weekend, I'm not even joking. This is not a long course. It's full of heavy hitter stuff that's going to change your life. If you want a big change by the weekend, this is for you. Until then, y'all, go make a mess. We'll talk to you soon.